Yeah, this movie scared the shit out of me the first time I watched it, so let's do it. I'm so sorry if I butcher some of these names. So the movie opens up with these two kids exploring the asylum, and they get to room 402, which is said to be the most haunted room. They're talking about how nobody's ever been in there before, and they're trying to break in. They get distracted by the sound of a ping pong ball, and then the video ends abruptly, but they catch a pair of eyes in one of the windows. Kids in the video ended up going missing, and this is all being explained to us by Ha-Jun, who runs a YouTube called Horror Times. Everybody else calls him the captain, so that's what I'll refer to him as. So the captain recruits 6 people to do a live stream in Gonjiam Asylum. So the captain stays in the base camp, and the 6 of them are going through the woods to get to the asylum. They find a pair of underwear, which they tie to a tree to use as a marker so they know where they are. So the crew gets there, and they're exploring, and they find this super creepy picture. So this is the director of the asylum and all of the patients. The rumor behind the asylum is that the director killed all of the patients and then killed herself, but she was never found. One of the girls, Charlotte, marks her name on the wall, and under it is a thing that says, "Let's live." Charlotte and another girl, Ji-hyun, are exploring a room where they find this doll from the photo. They later come back to find that the doll has moved on its own, and one of the boys picks it up. At this point, we've also seen that there's been some doors that have slammed shut by themselves, and the crew now goes to perform this ritual. A bunch of weird shit happens during the ritual. All these bells start ringing by themselves. But now it's revealed to us that the captain has basically set all of this up with 2 of the boys in the crew, and it's all fake. The 3 girls and the 1 other guy in the crew think all of this is real. So they get to this room with all these coffins, and Ji-hyun goes to stick her hand in one and gets pulled in and comes out with scratches all over her arm. Her and Charlotte see this writing on the wall, but instead of "Let's live," it now says "Let's die." So the 2 of them are absolutely terrified and decide to leave. So they get outside, they try to go back to the tent, but when they're in the woods, they keep passing the same underwear marker over and over. So they're trapped in an endless labyrinth. They can't get out. And then in probably the scariest moment in the whole movie, Charlotte goes to tap Ji-hyun on the shoulder, and she turns around and looks like this. Charlotte finds the tent, but when she goes inside, she's back in the asylum. And she's attacked and dragged away by this creepy demonic spirit. Meanwhile, the 2 boys who were in on it are starting to get freaked out because now they're understanding that it's real. And while they're in another room by themselves, everything starts to float and they both get knocked out by flying objects. And one of them, Sang-wook, is dragged away by an invisible force. Now the other one, Sung-hoon, wakes up and goes to find the other 2 who are still trying to open 402 because they still think all of this has been real. And he tells them that like the doll and the ritual were scripted, but everything else is real and they need to get the fuck out of there. But at this point, the 3 of them hear the ping pong ball and also can hear Charlotte screaming from inside room 402. The door to 402 opens and then everything goes black. So the 3 remaining crew now find themselves in a room that is covered in water with no doors. In this super creepy, intense scene, they are all one by one possessed and just like dragged into the darkness. The captain has basically been a huge dick through this whole thing because he's just trying to get 1,000,000 views, so he wants everybody to stay. So before knowing that they all became possessed, he decides to go into the asylum himself and finish the show. But when he goes in, he's strangled to death by the ghost that we believe to be the director. Sang-wook, who was dragged out earlier, ends up being the last remaining one, and he wakes up strapped to a wheelchair and is pushed into room 402. The final scene is a shot of the live stream where we see that it only capped at 503 views. And everybody making fun of them saying how this was bullshit and it was scripted. So they basically did this all for nothing.